Back roads. We were driving on a country road. "Hey Man, Nice Shot" was playing on the radio. Thinking back, it felt so late at night. Not paying attention, maybe we both just needed to get away. I had taken you far from home. You realize, as you mess with the passenger mirror, there is a man you do not know, hiding on the floor of our back seat. The man in black rose from the back seat, and placed a hand on each of our arms, opened his mouth and uttered a whisper, "It's time." The man no longer there had vaporized into a mist of black smoke, which filled our bodies through our nose. This is the night it all changed, on that back road, a time we thought we could both just get away. Let me explain, there was another night, another party after this one. I wasn't always the most humble, but now when I hear there was going to be alcohol. So, as a man does when he hears of alcohol, I run to it, like a castaway in a desert discovering an oasis. Naturally, I was not fit to drive, and naturally, I drove anyway. A coworker said drive to his house, there would be more. This coworker in particular hated city life, so he lived in the most rural area of the next county over. At least, I thought it was. I wasn't entirely sure. One of the things I loved and hated about alcohol was it blurred life, events, just everything. So, after this party, I drove home, as I mentioned earlier. Everything was about as perfect as a peach happily sighting in a mason jar of moonshine. As I figured I should be, myself intoxicated in the middle of nowhere, at the time when the moon was not quite set, nor the sun having begun to rise. As I drove, it was eerily silent. I remember glancing over to my left, passing where a forest fire had raged through a month beforehand. The mangled branches had twisted garishly, as if they were bony and distraught limbs outstretching to me, begging for mercy from the desolate world in which they resided. I shed a tear or two and turned on the radio. It was set to fairly old music, I remember. I hated old music. Now, I loathe it. Something about the way it made you linger upon the past forced my insides to churn, like the contents of a stew, or the way salt water boils around rocks. Feeling sick, I rolled down the window. An uncharacteristically cool breeze for August blew through. I noticed, groggily, that the window was slightly cracked and, worse, was not adjusted correctly. Grimacing, I forced the window back into place. As soon as I finish, a bright blinding light and sound attempts to embrace me. Luckily, I swerve away in time, narrowly becoming ensnared in the forest of char to my left and right. That's when I see it, lying in the floorboards of the back seat. His beady white eyes gazing intently upon me like a devilish bird of prey. He trembled, as if frightened, and yet this intruder lay in my car. What right did he have to fear when he was the threat? None, I say. His face was a shadow, in his hands he gripped something sharp, the crimson moon glinting into my eyes like a blinding and fiendish angel. In fear I carefully lay my hand down to below my seat, where a knife similar to his lay. I wiped the blood off, glancing down at my body's reflection. My calm, collected eyes glared and shook back at me. In an instant, I turn around and stab the creature in my back seat. He shrieks in agony, screeching like the miserable banshee he was, flailed his dagger at me, slicing my arm. But, it was too late for the creature. He was dead. This is when I hit the tree. Lucky for me, the police was called to the house up the road. After finding out why, here is what I told the officer after he asked me what just happened to me. "Officer, I beg you take my story and realize that I could never have killed my coworker, for he was buried in the woods by his house alongside the other guests there. The man in my back seat must have been from the party as well, and was the true killer. Who knows what he could have done next? Stay paranoid, my friends."